Welcome to the Vol Report, brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. And Jacob Warren joins us each and every week. We appreciate that. Spring camp, we've got that going on. Also, Pro Day, as man, the Vols just continue to fly up the draft board. Hendon Hooker, possibly a top 5 pick by some analysts. Pretty cool stuff going on.
Yeah.
Jacob, nice to join us. Brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Go ahead and click that like button. The thumbs up button helps us get out to more people, and we appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it. Go ahead, because we talk to Jacob and Cooper Mays each week. Maybe some more guys coming along down the pike, and a special feature looking back at the 1998 National Championship team. Jacob, how are you, sir?
Cannot complain, man. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm well. This is nice spring practice weather. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, for sure. It's been a blessing to be able to have the sun, a little bit of sunshine, right, and just not be super cold or super rainy or anything like that. So, cross our fingers that continues.
I've had some offensive linemen tell me at times that like 76 degrees is too hot because the pads and everything else.
Dude, it gets there, honestly. Right now, I think I just looked. It was like 70, right, in Knoxville, and we don't practice right now, right? We practice in the morning, so it was a little bit cooler this morning, but it was nice, right? Like it's right before it kind of gets hot, but the sun's out. There's a little breeze, and yeah, if you were to put us out there right now in 76-degree weather, I think all of us would think it's the hottest day ever. But then you get into fall camp and we're playing, and it's 85, it's high 80s, whatever, low 90s, and it's like that's fine, like it's whatever, it's a normal day. So yeah, it's all about perspective, I guess.
It is really interesting to me, and this has never struck me before because I always covered afternoon practices, and man, they had 2-a-days back then, and it was brutal. But the fact that you guys do practice in the morning, and it's not comfortable in August, I'm not trying to say that, but you're still one of the best conditioned teams in the entire nation, despite the fact you don't practice in the afternoon
Yeah.
when coaches wanted to practice because it was the hottest.
Yeah, that never really made a lot of sense to me. The whole like it has to be hot for you to get in shape. It truly like it doesn't make sense. I don't know. I understand you slept more, like whatever. Your body has to work harder to bring oxygen to your skin and your muscles, all that crap, whatever. But if I run 10 plays in a row as fast as I possibly can in practice, regardless of if it's 50 degrees or if it's 85 degrees, I'm gonna get in shape, right? I'm gonna continue to build up my stamina and get to the point where I need to be conditioning wise. But yes, no, for sure. I understand that whole point of trying to make it hard and trying to make it a struggle and push through the adversity and all that stuff. But luckily we practice in the morning. So
I always thought the morning practices would get guys back in their bed a little bit earlier too, because nothing good happens after midnight. We all know that.
yeah, right. And I mean that's the thing is you kind of have to make that decision. Okay, am I going to not even do anything crazy, but am I going to stay up and watch, 2 more episodes of Netflix, or am I going to stay up and watch, be on my phone for another hour, or am I just going to go to sleep at, 9:30? I have that decision to make now. Where all right, I got to be up pretty early, so I got to go ahead and get in the bed and trying to get good rest. So definitely builds good habits.
Okay, what's the last thing Jacob binged watched?
See, I'm not a big like. The last thing I binge watched was Wednesday on Netflix. That Adam's Family show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the last thing that I actually like, watched all the way through. I'm not the biggest like Netflix watcher. I watch a lot of like YouTube videos and just different things on YouTube because I think I'm just a simple-minded young person who it's very easy for me to watch a 20-minute video and just all right, I can just commit to that and move on. And I usually learn something, right? I watch a lot about just different hobbies, fishing and golfing and all this different stuff. And so they're entertaining to me, but no, I don't watch a lot of Netflix.
Well, there are some people among us that think that's the direction that broadcasting is going.
Could
Maybe
be.
I'm one of them.
Could be. Who knows?
You can watch your own YouTube. I will recommend Ted Lasso though.
Yeah, okay, I've watched a few episodes of that. I enjoy that show. That's a good show.
Pretty strong. And it's all about that show is all about good vibes and those sorts of things. And we've always had good vibes about Hendon Hooker.
For sure.
There's no question. I mean, when I first met him at SEC Media Days, and I've told you this, I was just really blown away. And he's lived up to the billing throughout the entire season, even when things didn't go great. He made the trip to the bowl game. He was at the Vanderbilt game. And now discussions are that he could be a top 5 pick, even if he's not. First round, that would be incredible. This time last year, that wouldn't have even been a discussion for him, which I just think's great.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's man, he's worked himself into that position, and just being himself, right? And just the person that he is has brought him this far. And I think he knows that, right? He knows that, him being him, is what's gotten him and allowed him to be in this position. So he's just going to continue to do that, and obviously continues to impress people with just the way he talks and his leadership, and how he's there for his team. And to him, I feel like that's just what he would do, right? He of course he's going to go to Vanderbilt. Of course he's going to go to the bowl and be around us and be with us, because at the end of the day, like it's his team, right? And this is a team that he's poured so much into, and you know, obviously was more than happy to be there. But yeah, just the fact that he's able to move up the board regardless of having this injury that everyone thought was going to put him so far back and all this stuff, and just I think almost showed people that he's more resilient and more more hardworking than they even maybe thought before. So yeah, he's done a great job.
You guys had pro day today, and I know he didn't participate, but I was told he was walking around without a limp, which you would expect, I guess, at this point, but actually throwing the football too. Can you just, from the outside in, talk about his recovery process?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know anything about knee recovery, right? That's not necessarily my area of expertise, but um, I'm sure he's been extremely aggressive in the way that he's attacked this, and it's extremely, you know what I mean. He's trying to keep going at it every day, keep getting better every day, and yeah, he was out there, not doing anything crazy, but just tossing the ball around, right, and just showing that, yeah, like I've been working to get myself back as quickly as possible, and I'm sure that's a great sign to a lot of teams and people that are looking at him and be like, wow, this guy, bounced back pretty quick, right? You see most guys out for months and months with this injury, and he's already walking around and showing that he's ready to roll. Not ready to roll, but you know what I'm saying? Like he's committed to getting himself back to being ready to go. So yeah, it's been super cool.
The Vol Report brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden there in Cleveland, Tennessee. Man alive, it's worth the drive. Toro, count on it. Whether or not you're in Nashville, Knoxville, Chattanooga, their buying power makes it worth that drive to Cleveland. Industrial mowers, commercial mowers, residential mowers as well. If he were to go top five, if he were to go in the top half of the first round, how much, because you've been a prospect, how much do
Mhm.
you think prospects take note of that? Other receiving tight ends, wide receivers, and that sort of, and even quarterbacks that have seen his development.
You mean as far as like kids coming out of high school?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that right. There's this big deal. At least when I was coming out of high school, was like, okay, where can I go? Like that's going to put me in the league, right? Where am I going to go? That's going to give me the best opportunity to go to the NFL. Um, their answer is, the true answer is you can go to the NFL from anywhere, right? It doesn't matter where you are. If you're a good player, they'll find you. Like you'll figure it out. You'll make it. Um, at the end of the day, it's like we at Tennessee have worked ourselves into the position to where we are considered somewhere that you can come and you will get all the looks you need. You will get all the resources you need, and um, you're watching people do it, right? You watch Josh Dobbs, who the guy's been in the league for however many years now, right? been successful, hasn't made a lot of starts, right? But is lasting a long time in that league. You got, a lot of guys, Trey Smith, Jawan Jennings, Marquez, like a lot of guys that are truly lasting in the league and understand what it takes to be really successful. So, as we just continue to go throughout the years, we're going to continue to add to that list of guys, and Hendon obviously will be one of them, and Jalen and Byron and Darnell and hopefully Jerome and Jeremy and all those guys, Paxton, like all these guys are going to be people that we can look at and be like, look, like, yeah, we put partners in the league, we put offensive linemen in the league, we put quarterbacks in the league. So come here and you will have those opportunities. You know what I'm saying? So I think that guys like Hendon and the way he's worked has just kind of laid that groundwork, and now it'll be easy to point at somebody like that and be like, yeah, that could be you, right? So.
I know Mike Vrabel was there, the head coach of the Titans, and I know you had an off-season decision to make. Is do you think much about playing close to home? Is that much of a factor when you make that NFL step?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think that that's obviously, it was important for me to stay close to home, and that's where I decided to come to Tennessee, right? So, obviously that would be an amazing situation if that's what presented itself. At the end of the day, it's who wants to take the chance on you, right? And who wants to draft you, who wants to pick you up, who wants to essentially pay you to play the game, right? And so I think at the end of the day, it's whoever's going to pay me to play the game, like that's that's where I'll be. So if it's Tennessee, and that's awesome. Obviously, been kind of rooting for them as I've been growing up, and for sure would be cool.
What did you learn from this pro day that had a handful of real true prospects and had coaches and scouts on hand to
Mm.
help you prepare for next year? What did you learn?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I learned was just, man, like you think that it's this big grandiose deal, like it's a big thing, and you're going to get all these opportunities and stuff. But when it comes down to it, they did all their testing, and they took their time with that. But once it gets really to it, right, there's about 10, 15 minutes of work, right, of drill work that the guys do, and that's all the opportunities you get, right? Like you got to go and capitalize and make the best out of every single opportunity, every single rep, because it's not like you're going to be there for 45 minutes and you got a chance to kind of make it up. Like, no, you got to catch every ball. You got to, make every single cut the right way. You got to have the right hands on all your blocking, like all the different drills that you're doing. So, just kind of how precious each rep is, and watching our guys, have that intention. I keep using this word intentionality. I don't know if you saw the guy, I think it was Westbrook or something. He made a big deal about my vocabulary the other day, but
I'm not 100% sure if intentionality is a word. Is that a word?
yeah, it's a word.
Okay, well, you got me.
I
I
just
mean,
I
and
just said it. I just said it, didn't I? So it's a word.
it's a word then.
Okay,
Intentionality. Okay.
whatever. Just guys being real intentional about, rep was really cool to see, and watching the guys capitalize on those opportunities was really cool. So
So, do you as you're watching this, do you envision yourself out there? And by the way, I Google check. You're right. That is a word. I stand corrected.
there you go.
Do you envision yourself out there in a year? Do you look ahead?
I mean, yeah, for sure, and I think that the fact that I had the opportunity to be there this year, right, was kind of a weird feeling too. It was like, wow, this could be what I'm doing right now, right? But obviously thankful that I'm in the position I am right now, and excited, looking forward to that, and just be like, yeah, well, before you know it, it'll be my turn, and I'll be out there, and hopefully be testing well, and doing all my drill work, and capitalizing on those same opportunities
With high intentionality.
with very high intentionality. Exactly.
That- People don't throw words at me that I don't know very often, so I'm
I
impressed.
didn't I didn't realize that was such a crazy word, dude. They like reacted. The press reacted. I said in the press, what, yesterday I did an interview or something, and I said it, and everyone was like, "Wow, this guy's pretty smart, right?" Like, hey,
I knew you were smart. It's just a great word. I'm going to start using it.
all right, cool, gotcha.
Jacob's word of the day brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden Man
There
Alive.
you go.
The drive. Go to Vassy with intentionality. So
Mhm.
I want to ask you about a couple of guys in spring camp. And obviously, I'm going to ask you about guys that are kind of on a curve because they're new guys, but just early impressions of Keenan Pili at linebacker who transferred from BYU. I mean, Jeremy Banks is gone. So I think there's playing time to be had there, or they wouldn't have picked up a transfer like him. What do you think of him?
Yeah, man. An older guy, right, came in after some experience at BYU, and if I'm correct, was a captain at BYU, and
Mhm.
you know played a lot of ball at BYU, and so that's obviously exciting to add a piece that you feel is more refined, I guess, or someone that's a little bit more developed, and physically even, but also just mentally, and just being able to play the game really fast, and be able to react and make all these different plays on the perimeter, kind of like how Jeremy was able to, kind of like just guys that we've had in the past that are just good linebackers, right? And so it's great to kind of add depth in that room. And him personally, he's I don't know if you ever seen him, or I'm sure you've read stats and stuff, but like a very like built guy, right? Big,
Oh,
big
yeah.
arms, big chest, whatever, big legs, like runs fast, is smart, intuitive, and I think will do a lot for us, man, in the fall. And I'm super excited for him just to, I guess, kind of be welcomed by this environment, and SEC ball is probably maybe a little bit different, and might be playing in front of more people and all stuff, but he seems to really be embracing it and enjoying his time here so far.
Let me ask you about another guy on the flip side, Cameron Seldon,
Yeah,
because he shows up at receiver and then he's immediately put at running back.
yeah.
Your thoughts on what you've seen out of him?
Yeah, guy's a big running back, right? And then that was the first thing when I found out that he had come into as a wide receiver. I was like, okay, that makes sense, right? Because he's a taller guy, and he's not thin by any means, but is is built as a pretty built guy. I was like, he could play running back, could play wide receiver, whatever. But yeah, man, just coming in and trying to take notes from the guys that we have in that room because man, as we're going on, like those guys in that running back room are the real deal, and I really do appreciate having backs that are just really good, right? And then that can run the ball well and that are, break tackles and whatever, extend plays and all that stuff. So him just being able to, you know, play behind these guys and just watch what they're doing and go out there and perform. Obviously haven't had the opportunity to really like rep with him, right? Just because we don't necessarily cross paths much. But yeah, just excited for him to kind of learn and grow and try to, fill in that role of running back, right? Because it's obviously very different from wide receiver. So
There are a lot of people. We're not in the off season by by my thinking because you got spring camp going on. But a lot of people in the off season will write these lists to get people talking, and I'm not even going to give credence to this one. But I will tell you that Neyland Stadium wasn't in the top 10 of toughest places to play, which is just stupid. That's somebody that
yeah,
hasn't been to any of those stadiums.
right.
But I just want to ask you, what's the toughest away environment that you've been in? What's the toughest road stadium in your mind?
Yeah, for sure. I think it kind of depends, right? Because you have times where Williams Brice, right, at South Carolina, that stadium is like it's massive, right? It's big, like very loud. They got the sandstorm deal that they do, like whatever. Like whenever you go into that stadium and whatever, like it doesn't matter. This past year we lost, right? So it's rocking, right? And it's
Mhm.
jumping and they're all loud and they're all whatever. But at the same time, there's been times where you've been in that stadium and if you're beating them, like it's no big deal, right? Um, but then like we go down to Georgia this past year, right? We play at Georgia, right? It's loud and where we had just taken the number one spot from them, and so now it's like this whole thing, and so that I think is probably the loudest that I've ever experienced. I feel like that was comparable to Neyland Stadium whenever it gets jumping and stuff, and I've never even experienced that because I've always been on the better end of it, right? In Neyland, it's never been when I'm on the field; it's always been when I'm on the sidelines cheering the defense on. So yeah, man, experiencing that kind of gave me just a glimpse as to what it's like really coming to play in Neyland. Nothing else has really kind of even touched that, I don't think.
Well, and you're fortunate. I mean, that you caught LSU when everybody was hungover.
There you go. Yep. We played a little bit too early at LSU.
That was 11 o'clock
Yeah,
their time,
it
and they
was too early
practiced in
for
the.
'em. I don't know. They were still kind of rowdy down there, but
uh,
we also kind of, ran away with that one pretty early, so it
You
didn't
did.
to
You
get to
took
it.
control of it, and there's only so many Bloody Marys I think they could have early in the
For sure.
morning. He's Jacob Warren. I'm Dave Hooker. The Vol Report brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. Man alive. I love these discussions with Jacob. He's with you each and every week. Brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Go to vassy.com to learn more. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.